In today's video, I am reacting to someone that, frankly, I should have reacted to a long time ago. This man has been commented relentlessly in my comment section ever since I started doing reactions to football. It's Paul Pogba. Now, Paul Pogba, I already uploaded this a couple hours ago on Patreon, highlights, game footage of Paul Pogba's career highlights. Now, this kind of stuff gets blocked here on YouTube like that. I can't post game footage because it'll get copyrighted. But on Patreon for $1 a month, every player that you see featured in this series, every single one of them will have a highlight video reaction over on Patreon for just $1 a month. I want to read a comment on this video. Pogba had the potential to be one of the best midfielders of all time, but his move to Manchester United ruined it. He got injured constantly and the team were just getting worse. He transferred back to Juve in 2022 and was injured for most of the season. When he came back at the start of this season, he basically ruined the rest of his career for himself after he got suspended for the next 4 years by failing an anti-doping test. I did know about the 4-year suspension because I saw a bunch of YouTube thumbnails. But I want to learn more about this man, Paul Pogba, learn about his story. Now, let's get ready. This is Daily Dose of Football. Excellent football creator. This guy just keeps uploading excellent content. And so please go subscribe to Daily Dose of Football after you're done watching my videos.
Paul Pogba is often used to see where a fan lies in the spectrum between an hopeless romantic and a rigid observer of football, where one might see an uncomprehended prodigy a few lucky strikes away from hitting his prime, another might see an unprofessional brat who is stumbling across his career with little regard for the big picture. But today I'll try to show you where he came from.
So there's a dichotomy between the way football fans might think about a player and how much do you weight the off the field or off the pitch portion of a player's career. Yeah, that's interesting. So some might say this is one of the greatest players. Others might say this is a spoiled brat.
How he became a superstar, and what has led to his more recent struggles at United, so you can decide for yourself where your opinion sits regarding one of the most controversial players of the last 10 years. Enjoy. Paul was born in 1993 in France, only a few months after his mother left Guinea to join his dad on their quest for a better life. Unfortunately, though both of his parents maintained a
1993, so he's not, he's what, Kane's age? Because I was born in 97, I'm 26, so he's what, 30, around 30? So he's still, even after a 4-year suspension, he could still play professional football, probably not at the same level, but it's interesting.
A good relationship with each other and loved him and his twin siblings very much. They would get a divorce when he was only 2 years old. Paul would stay with his mom, though he would still get to see his father frequently. It would be his father, in fact, who would take note of his talent and encourage Paul to pursue a football career. Soon after, both of his parents would be convinced that he had the makings of a great footballer in him, so much so that they would decide to homeschool him so he would have more free time to train and pursue his dreams. From the ages of 6 to 12, he would play at Roissy-en-Brie, his local youth team.
Mr. Daily Dose of Football having some copyright trouble on this video. I appreciate you for blurring this because I don't want to have the same copyright trouble on your copyrighted trouble video, which has happened in the past.
Of course, as you might imagine, he would excel, so much so that he would become sort of notorious in his hometown. This led one of his neighbors to contact US Torcy about a diamond in the rough he had found. Eventually, they would give Pogba a trial in which he would of course succeed and end up joining the club. This move provided him with the exposure he needed in order to get national attention, and so, after only 1 season, he would get a move to Le Havre. This was fundamental in his career. Their academy was one of the most prestigious in France, having developed the likes of Mandanda, Lassana Diarra, Payet, and Mendy. Around this time, his twin brothers were also in pursuit of
He used a lot of copyrighted footage.
Their football dreams would join Celta de Vigo in Spain, but the distance between them did not affect Pogba's game, who would still cause a major impact, being made captain of the team in his second season and getting called up for the under-16 national team, in which Even more impressively, he would also get named as captain. After impressive performances with the national team, Pogba began to gain international acclaim for his achievements, as one of the most promising wonder kids in the world of football, and soon enough, Le Havre had the likes of Arsenal, Juventus and Man United knocking at their door. There would be some back and forth, but then, out of nowhere, Pogba announced that he was joining United. The Le Havre board would be furious, claiming Pogba was breaching their non-solicitation agreement signed in 2006. Still, United would defend their most recent acquisition, and eventually, matters would be taken to court, with United winning the case but eventually agreeing to settle matters with Le Havre, though the terms of the transfer were never made public. At only 17 years of age, Paul Pogba was already making waves in the transfer market, and soon enough, he would be taking his game to the next level. In his second season with the Manchester United youth team, he would be in great part responsible for their success.
So am I getting this correct? Well, I guess I'll just let him finish telling the story, but I thought he went to United later on in the career. So he was there as a youth player and then played for Juventus, and then came back to Manchester United, then went back to Juventus? Is that the case? I shouldn't guess. I should let him tell the story.
At the FA Youth Cup, which would get him on Sir Alex Ferguson's radar, but meanwhile, his exploits with the French national team would only add to his reputation, carrying his squad to the semi-finals of the Under-17 Euros, where despite his goal, they would go out to England. It's hard to point out exactly what happened behind the scenes, but from the looks of it, Pogba had convinced himself that his wonder kid status should be enough to warrant him some game time for United. And knowing that he had only 1 year left in his contract, it seems he wasn't afraid of letting Sir Alex Ferguson know that he would end it if he was denied a spot in the team. To avoid completely severing ties over the next season, Ferguson would have Pogba sent to the reserves and would call him up 7 times to play for the first team. Apparently, that wasn't enough for him, and Pogba would leave after.
So that answers the question. Paul Pogba wanted to play, and Sir Alex wasn't about to put him in because he didn't see that he was ready for that stage apparently. And all right, so that's why I guess some people might have a conception of Paul Pogba as spoiled.
After his contract ended, very quickly he found himself a new home at Juventus. Upon hearing about this, Sir Alex wasn't afraid to show his discontent, saying he was disappointed that Pogba was disrespectful and that he felt nothing but happiness knowing a player that acts like that was now far away from his club. As much as Pogba's behavior might have not been the best, soon enough I'm sure Sir Alex wouldn't be so happy to see him leave anymore. At Juventus, Pogba would excel, not only earning a place in the first team but frequently being in the starting 11, combining in midfield with the likes of Andrea Pirlo, Arturo Vidal and Claudio Marchisio. By March, his landmark performance against Udinese included one of the best goals of the year, maybe even of all time, as Pogba would strike the half volley with so much.
I see you, Daily Dose of Football, getting smart and using fan-recorded footage. There's a lot of tricks to get around these copyright lords.
Power that the ball would swerve like one of those colorful plastic wands kids play with at the beach.
Oh, that's a good goal.
By the end of the first season with Juve, Pogba had already won the league, and over summer, he would yet again join his national team, this time at the under-20 level, taking part in the World Cup, where much thanks to Pogba would captain the team, France would go completely unbeaten, winning the final on penalties against Uruguay. By the end of the year, there wouldn't be much arguing about who should be the recipient of the next Golden Boy award. Paul Pogba would win by a landslide, beating Lukaku and Varane.
Wow.
Over his second season, despite sometimes even playing as a defensive midfielder, Pogba would be involved in 25 goals and play 51 matches, the most in the squad. Absolutely absurd numbers, not only for his role, but also for his age. Keep in mind he had just turned 20 years old. Of course, being part of a virtually unbeatable Juventus squad at the domestic level, he would once again win the league. Over summer, Pogba took part in the 2014 World Cup with France. It would be his first ever international tournament, but unfortunately, it would be really unremarkable in terms of their performance as a squad, with France crumbling the moment they had to face a competitive team. If at this point Man United had been mocked in every which way over
that goal right there that he just showed, holy crap. That was in the highlight video that I reacted to, where it looks as if he's about to control the ball down to the pitch, but he scores a goal. He like kicks it out of the air. That goal right there fascinates me.
For the fact they allowed a player like Pogba to live for free, then over the next season everything would get on a whole new level. From the get-go it was evident Pogba was in the best form of his career. Soon enough that would be made clear as he earned his first nomination to the Ballon d'Or, made even more special as he was the youngest player in the list. As Juve played the second leg of the Champions League last 16, they were already 11 points in front of Serie A with nothing to worry about, and Pogba had been involved in 3 goals in the last 4 matches in the European competitions, and with many of their players overperforming.
Dude, his control of the ball, his dribbling, his passing, like everything. He was one of my favorite highlight reactions that I reacted to on Patreon. I'm not gonna lie. One of my favorite highlight reactions.
Many believed it would be that year that Juve would break their curse and go all the way in the Champions League. But then, midway through the match, an hamstring injury would force Pogba to leave the pitch. As he came back, he would watch as Juve would go behind against Real Madrid in the semi-final second leg, and despite being still recovering and getting back to full fitness, it would be him who would assist the goal that would take them to the final. There, they would meet Barcelona, and as they faced their chance to not only win the Champions League but also conquer the mythic treble, they would unfortunately see everything go wrong from the get-go, conceding just 4 minutes into the match and eventually losing it 3-1. Pogba's performances would not go unnoticed, and the 22-year-old would be nominated to the UEFA Best Player of the Year award. And yet, that wouldn't be the most prestigious thing he'd be awarded that year. As the next season started, Juventus saw fit to offer him the number 10 shirt, once worn by the likes of Platini, Baggio, and Del Piero. It was now clear.
Classic names. And by the way, I've seen these names commented recently. I have reacted to each one of these players. So you can find those, I believe it was April of 2023. You can find them on the channel. I was doing a reaction through all of Italy's legends, and I did all 3 of these men. So
clear that Juve was fully invested in Pogba's career. He was en route to become a club legend. The next season would be far less dramatic as Juve would go out of the international competitions very early and would be left to focus on the league, where Pogba, now being deployed further up the pitch and without Vidal or Pirlo, would be forced to take on even more responsibility. Of course, the prodigy would not crumble and would power through, scoring a personal best of 8 Serie A goals and topping the league's assist charts as he led Juventus towards conquering the domestic double for the 2nd year in a row. Pogba had proven he was capable of leading the squad. He had proven he was worthy of the trust of the fans, but then came the offer. 105 million euros was the amount Man United were willing to offer Juventus.
they bought that man back. all right. We'll take him back. We want the man back.
So they could go back and undo the damage they had done themselves by allowing Pogba to leave. This would be the largest amount ever paid for the transfer of a player, so as you might imagine, as much as Juve had hopes of building their future around Pogba, there was simply no chance they would say no to this, and so, he returned like a prodigal son. But before all of that, he would have to join France and their super team in the quest to win Euro 2016. In individual terms, it started.
And that was the year, that's Portugal wins in 2016, right? They weren't supposed to win that tournament?
Pretty horribly for Pogba. In the first match he endured much criticism and was subbed off. Then he wasn't even put into the starting 11. Once he managed to once again gain the trust of the fans, he would start the last 16 by conceding a penalty. This match would be such a disaster that Gary Lineker would question whether Pogba was the world's most overrated player. I'm guessing Paul got fired up after hearing what was being said about him, because from there on, he was great. In the quarters he would score and create the chance that would lead to Griezmann's goal. Then, against World Cup holders Germany, he would put on another great performance, and once again his playmaking would be the source of yet another goal by Griezmann. In the final, Pogba would have an average performance, as he would watch his country get beaten by a Portuguese squad that had only won 1 of their matches in regulation time.
Yeah, I remember that. Portugal made a run for that final. I reacted to a video about this. That Portugal made a run to that final, but they ended up not. Yeah. I remember that. We did that on Twitch, I think. Did I upload that to YouTube yet? Sorry for the interruption.
Time. As he arrived in England, many had already decided they wouldn't be big fans of the man who had willingly left them to rot. So, just a few matches in, and pundits were already finding a myriad of different ways to criticize him. It was either because he was too inconsistent, he lacked positional discipline, he lacked focus, or even that he just posted too much on social media. It seemed Paul Pogba was doomed. But thankfully, on that first season, the unexpected hero would be Jose Mourinho, who would mock Pogba's critics, referring to them as football Einsteins, who apparently could judge a player off of just a handful of performances. In a way, Mourinho would be proven right. Despite Pogba's unimpressive numbers, at least in comparison to his time at Juventus, he would be fundamental in the club's Europa League run, scoring in a final and being named the player of the tournament. The next season, Pogba would demonstrate to be in great form at the start, getting 4 goals and assists in the first 4 Premier League matches of the season, but then a thigh muscle rupture would leave him out for 12 matches. As he came back, the talks around his poor discipline and lack of professionalism returned, and soon it would become noticeable that a rift was being formed between Pogba and the man who had once defended him, Jose Mourinho, who would start frequently favouring Scott McTominay over Pogba. The last months of the season would provide us with all kinds of strange developments. First, Pep Guardiola claimed that Pogba's agent Mino Raiola, known for being extremely cutthroat and money-driven, had offered Pogba to City, which of course they would deny, claiming it was just a strategy trying to destabilize the squad before the Manchester derby. Then, to further make this one hell of a development, Pogba would score twice in the match to give United the win and stop City from celebrating the league title in front of them. But if that had made the fans happy, let's just say they weren't very happy when soon after Pogba squandered a chance in the final of the FA Cup that would give the title away to Chelsea. Man United would finish second in the league. At the time, that wasn't met with much excitement by the fans, but given the notoriety that team developed as one of the worst Manchester United sides in decades, it is now seen as an impressive accomplishment. Over summer though, Pogba would hit one of his highest peaks of his career. At the 2018 World Cup he would be in great form. In the opening match against Australia he would assist one of the goals and produce a shot that would lead to an own goal for the other. Once they hit the knockout rounds, Pogba played well in every match, being a major creative force against Argentina and controlling the tempo of the matches against Belgium and Uruguay. In the final, he would score and combine all the elements I mentioned previously for an excellent performance that would lead France to beat Croatia and become world champions. A trophy.
Now, if he was suspended just recently, I'm going to do a little bit of research here right now. Would he have been on the French team in the World Cup? So I'm trying to think if I've actually seen him play ever. I don't think I have. Paul Pogba. Okay. He was banned from flying over and attending the match in person. France midfielder Paul Pogba will not attend the World Cup final in Qatar. He has reportedly been banned from flying over and attending the match. Wow. So he was not. I have never seen him play, actually.
Even more meaningful to Paul Pogba, who had yet to win any other international trophies besides the Europa League. Unfortunately, once he returned to Manchester, he was hit with a harsh reality that his relationship with Mourinho wasn't getting any better.
Has Jose Mourinho managed every major club in football? This guy's like Zlatan with the amount of teams that I've seen him as the manager.
After a bit of hope, as Mourinho allowed him to play as captain for a while, it all came crashing down as Mourinho, upset at a series of bad results, claimed that Pogba would never get the armband again and that it was like a virus who negatively affected everyone in the team. Among all of this, a video of the two clashing in training was made public, and it became clear that only one would be able to remain at the club, and as you might have guessed, it would be Mourinho who would leave. Ole Solskjaer would be appointed as caretaker, though eventually he would be kept permanently. Pogba, despite all the drama and inconsistency, would end the season with his best ever goal-scoring record of 16 in a season, 6 more than he ever managed, and would end up making the PFA Team of the Year, even though United would finish 6th and with no trophies. After this, Pogba faced the idea that perhaps it was time to leave Man United, with the man himself claiming it might be time for a new challenge. There were claims that Juve would get him back in a straight swap with his good friend Paulo Dybala. Some said Real Madrid were willing to offer James Rodriguez plus £30 million, but in the end, Pogba stayed. By the 25th match day, United sat 7th in the table, and the fans' only hope was put into the rumor that Bruno Fernandes would join the club and that Pogba and him would combine to lift the club back up and help them achieve qualification to the European competitions. The rumor would come true, and though the fans would have to wait a few extra weeks to see them together as Pogba got injured, the expectations would match reality as the duo would push the club to an unbelievable comeback, finishing 3rd place and earning qualification to the Champions League. And so, we arrive at the 2020-2021 season, which ended just a few days ago, in which the duo
Oh wow, so this video is pretty old, so it's actually not even going to catch the suspension.
became one of the main reasons for United's revival, finishing 2nd only behind Manchester City and making the Europa League final, where unfortunately they lost after a penalty shootout that lasted for 22 penalties.
Wow.
It should be noted that still Bruno Fernandes is seen as the main contributor for this return to form by the club, with some speculating about how far they would go if Pogba was able to hit top form while combining with Bruno. These arguments have also led to the reignition of the rumors that Pogba might join Real Madrid, Juventus, and even PSG as of late.
So we know that he ends up going to Juventus, and we know that he ends up, So we know that he ends up going to Juventus, and then we know that he ends up, I guess, essentially being banned for 4 years from playing football. I saw a clip on the side while I was scrolling on YouTube that said that Paul Pogba was like, I didn't say I'm retiring, so we'll see in 4 years is he still going to be able to play quality football. But wow, what a story. So what's your opinion of Paul Pogba? Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think that he was actually worth the trouble that surrounded him? One of these, I'm just finding that most of these legendary players they have just this air of controversy that surrounds them. But I'll tell you this much. After reacting to his highlights for the patrons, he was one of my favorite highlight videos to react to. His control of the ball, his dribbling, his creativity, ability to get a play going. It was fantastic and fun to watch. So yeah, my opinion of him, he's a fun player to watch. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey there, we'll get back to your video in just 1 second. First, let me show you something cool that I'm doing over on Patreon. I am reacting to key games in the 1986 World Cup over on Patreon. Now, something that's really cool that I'm able to do, I was reacting to the USSR and Belgium in this game where the USSR lost a heartbreaker in extra time versus Belgium in the 1986 World Cup. But look, I'm able to actually show game footage. Like, I'm actually able to react to the game highlights and do some research on the 1986 World Cup over here. This is stuff that I cannot upload on YouTube because it will get blocked. FIFA doesn't like it when I react to their stuff. But you can find these matches. I'm doing all the key games from the 1986 World Cup. When we get to the final, which I know Argentina are victorious in the 1986 World Cup. When we get to the final, I'm going to live stream with all of those people who have subscribed at the $5 tier, just $5 a month, and you'll get the entire tournament, all the reactions to all the games, but not just the 1986 World Cup. We will also be doing 2002, 1994. We'll also be doing Champions League finals. We'll also be doing FA Cup finals. We've got a lot of stuff that I'm going to be doing over there on the $5 a month tier on Patreon. So please go check it out. I'm sure you're going to be excited about this kind of content. It's a lot of fun. I can't do it on YouTube, but I will do it on Patreon. And I'll see you guys over there. The link is in the description.